Hello world, Dino here. Today I'm going to walk you through setting up and connecting my quest system to the newest version of my inventory and item blueprint system. This will include giving items as quest rewards upon completion, as well as quest items when we accept one. We're also going to set up quest objectives that handle turning over required items to complete it. This video will move a little bit quicker through the setup processes of both systems, but if you need a more detailed guide for either, I do have additional videos on this channel to assist you with that. Now the first thing we're going to do is open up our project. Since I don't have one, I'm going to create a brand new third-person project. After our project is open, go ahead and return to the Epic Launcher's asset vault and use the search tool to locate and add both my quest system and my inventory and item system to your project. Next, we need to attach both systems to our player controller, but if you don't already have a player controller, go ahead and make a new one from the new blueprint window. Then set it as a player controller used by your game mode. Next, open up your player controller and attach both the AC_inventory item system and the AC_quest_player controller components. Compile, then save. Now press play. And we should see the hotbar at the bottom for the item system, and if we press I, we should see the inventory system. Next, hit L and it should bring up the quest journal. If you made it to this point, both systems are successfully installed, but don't go away yet because we still have a few issues we need to address to get everything working smoothly. If you need to change any of the key bindings, you can open up the key bindings event graphs in both of the components we added. I do recommend taking the time and converting these over to input actions instead. It'll make things a little bit easier if you end up needing to use these key bindings elsewhere in your project. Next, we're going to need to set up a quest to test with. I'm going to use these 3 cubes to attach the first demo quest included in the data table, located in the quest system's blueprints variables data tables folder. We need to change the map name to the map we are in. For me, that's third person map. And go ahead and copy the start at actor tag and return to the viewport. Then select the cube you want to use to start the quest, and from the details panel of it, add an actor tag. And the value we just copied is what we want to paste as our tag. Return to the data table and expand the objectives and copy the value assigned to the tag. This is who we will need to travel to and interact with to complete the objective criteria for this quest. Go ahead and return to the viewport and attach this tag to another one of the cubes. Finally, let's attach the complete that actor tag from our data table to the last cube in our world. Go ahead and press play and you should see our available quest indicator floating over the first cube. But if you try to interact with it, nothing happens. This is because right now both the item system and the quest system are fighting over our E key, and the item system is winning. To fix this, we need to combine the logic of both events into one. In our quest system key bindings graph, we have this event to interact nearby. In our item system key binding graph, we have a similar one also called interact nearby. Let's go ahead and delete the one from our quest system, including the input event, and return to the one in our item system. Go ahead and get a reference to your player controller, then from it, get component by class. Select AC_quest_player controller from the list. Next, let's hook up a branch to our output of our current interact nearby in the item system. From our get component by class, drag off and select interact nearby. Plug this function into the false node coming off of our branch. We only want to run this if our item system doesn't consume the input first. Compile, save, and press play. You should now be able to run up and interact with the cube to start the quest. Go ahead and complete the quest just to make sure everything is working properly. Now before we continue, I'm going to drop a copy of our reset quest button into the world. This is just a little debugging tool that will wipe out all saved completed quests by the player. Since we're going to want to complete this quest a few more times during this setup, all we need to do is simply jump on this button to reset everything. Now, one issue you might have noticed is if you have the inventory open while interacting with the quest window and then close the quest window, you'll lose your mouse, which you still kind of need for the inventory window. To fix this, we need to do a little surgical work on the UI blueprints. Navigate to the UIs folder in the item system and open up UI_item system. In the inventory system UI section, locate the hide inventory event. This giant OR statement right here is what we can use to see if we already have a window open. And since we now need this in more than one place, I'm going to collapse this into a function called asOpenWindow. I'm going to make it a pure function and also give it a Boolean input to toggle whether or not we exclude the inventory window from this check. Since right here where it's currently being used, we're not actually checking the inventory visibility, but where we need it in our quest system, we will need this. So a Boolean is an easy way to control this. I'm going to set the default value of this Boolean to true. Go ahead and open the function up, and instead of the current output, I'm going to run it to the select node instead, which will then use the input Boolean we added to the function as the index. Next, drag out a reference to our UI inventory, and from it drag off and select the isVisible function. Let's run the return value from this function into another OR statement, and the other conditional part of this one OR statement is going to use our original OR statement. And I'm going to run the output of this new OR statement into the false node of our select. Because if we exclude inventory as false, we must want to include it, which is what the statement is doing. Now for the true node, just run the original OR statement into it. Compile, save, and then open up the UI quest HUD located in the quest system UIs folder. Locate the mouse toggle section of the graph and make some room at the start of the event. Next, we'll want to call that hasOpenWindow function that we just created on the item system. And to get a reference to this, we need to first get a reference to our player controller, and then from that, get component by class. And then from the list, make sure you select the AC_inventory item system. And then from this node, we're going to get a reference to our UI item system. And from the UI item system, we can select our hasOpenWindow function. Make sure you set the exclude inventory to false here because we do want it. Connect the return value from this function into a branch, and from the false node, continue running everything that was already there. And from our true node, we need to simply duplicate this decrementing variable call that keeps track of open quest related windows. And then after it, make sure to run this movement on function. What we created here is an early escape that provides the quest system with the information it needs while also preserving the expected functionality of the inventory system. Go ahead and compile and save and press play again. Then open your inventory and try interacting with the quest. Close the quest window and you should still have access to your mouse this time. Now we can start working on the fun stuff. Let's start off with the quest rewards, which for our quests are defined in the quest data table. And just a reminder, if you are looking for more information about the data end, like adding and configuring rewards in the quest system, make sure to watch the other videos and check out the documentation. They will go into those topics a lot more in depth. This video is just going to use the default items, which are already named appropriately for the demo items that exist in our item system. Navigate to the quest system's blueprints components folder, and this time open up the player state component named AC_quest_player state. Expand the quest rewards section of your function list and open up the get item info function. This is the function that is called when a quest needs to display the item name or the icon. Go ahead and delete everything in here except for one of the return nodes. Right click on the graph and search for get item data and hook it up to the input. This function exists in our blueprint library for the item system, which is why we're able to reference it directly here. Break the structure on the return and hook the item icon and name up to the return nodes of this function. Compile, save, and hit play. Now when you interact with the quest, you'll see the real item name coming through from the inventory system. And if you were to have different rewards configured for your quest, you should now be able to see them here. Go ahead and open the give quest reward item function, and as you might have guessed, this is where we're actually going to give the item to the player once they complete the quest. You can go ahead and delete what's there except for the return node. Then right-click in the graph and get a reference to your player controller. From the player controller reference, drag off and select Get Component by Class. Go ahead and select AC_inventory item system from the class list. And then from a return node on this one, go ahead and select Get AC main inventory, which is a reference to our main inventory component. And finally, from this node, drag off and select Add Inventory. Then go ahead and hook everything up and leave the to slot ID as -1. That way it'll handle auto sorting for you. Compile, save, and press play. Now you should be able to complete your quest, and when you do, you should get your reward. Next up, we're going to work on the quest objective that requires players to hand over specific inventory items to satisfy the objective. Navigate to the Blueprints Quest Objectives Inventory folder and open up the AC Quest Objective Inventory component. We need to set up two functions inside of this component. The first one is the get inventory item quantity. Go ahead and open this one up and delete the testing integer heading into the return of the function. We need a reference to our inventory component again, so I'm going to head back over to the quest player state and just copy what we just created in the give quest reward item function. Then from our component, drag off and select get inventory quantity. Hook the inputs and outputs up. Then switch on over to the take inventory function, and this is the one that will remove the items from the player's inventory. Go ahead and delete my placeholders, and let's make a copy of our reference to our component again. And since we're iterating through a loop here, let's cache a reference to our component first. And I'm just going to promote mine to a local variable and name it inventory component. And just to keep this blueprint easy to read, I'm going to add a sequence here and then run the first branch into this variable that's being set, and then the second part's going to run into the original logic. And now let's return to our little work area inside the loop. This is where we're going to need a reference to our inventory component, and then from it, select remove inventory. And then go ahead and hook up the item name and the quantity. Now to test this, let's head back into our data table for our quest. And this last quest here, flowers_lily. This one uses our quest objective that we're working with, and it requires two items. I'm just going to delete the first item, but leave the blue sphere since we're getting that from the other quest that we have in our level. Also set the map name to the map you're working in. Then go ahead and copy the start at actor tag and just select first cube that we had the other one on, and then just add this one to it too as a new tag. So now this cube will have two quests that spawn from it. Now you should have blue spheres in your bag from earlier tests, so you can go ahead and test this quest out now. You have to accept it, and when you interact with it again, you'll have a new option to give the items, and you see it completes the quest. And since it's a repeatable quest, we can do it again, but we don't have enough items. Now if we accept one of the quests, you can see the indicators are overlapping each other right here, and you may like that, but if you don't, there's an easy way to resolve it. Just select the actor in your world and then add another component to it. This time we're going to add the quest actor component, and then from the details panel, expand the quest helper indicator section, and then change the drop down to priority for the multiple indicator handler, and as you can see they don't stack anymore. The one with the highest priority will show. And the last part we need to set up is the give item event. And this is how you can give the player items they may need when they accept it. Navigate to the Blueprints Quest Events folder and open up BP_Quest Events_Give Quest Items. Go ahead and delete the placeholder, and then from the take inventory function that we were just working in, go ahead and copy the code that we used to cache the inventory component, including the sequence. Make some room at the start of the event and plug in the sequence we just copied. Then right click on the variable and create it. Now inside of our function, pull out our reference to our inventory component, and this time we're going to do the add inventory function. And the array element is your item row name, and the value coming off of this find is your quantity. Now switch back to your quest data table and select the first quest. From the on state change section, go ahead and click the add button, and for the on quest state change to drop down, select in progress. Then for our quest state handler, go ahead and select our BP_Quest Events_Give Quest Items. And then we use the quest state data map to tell it which items we want to give it. And the key is going to be the item row name, and then the value is the quantity of the item to receive. For my item row name, I'm going to use loot_box_extreme. And then for the quantity, I'm going to enter in 10. Go ahead and save and give it a try. Now when we accept the first quest, we'll get loot box extremes added to our inventory automatically. I hope this video helps, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And that concludes setting up and integrating the newest version of my inventory and item system into my quest system. Thank you for purchasing my assets and supporting the future development of this project, and good luck with your game.